project today is going to be cleaning out this garage again. I swear we just cleaned it out, but it is an absolute mess again. Just projects have kind of piled up in here. So we're going to clean it out. While we do, I'm going to chat with you about some problems we've got going on. So this is not a problem that's really unique to us. This is a common problem with homesteading in the winter, especially if you work off of the homestead. So the main problem is this, that by the time I get done working and get home, it's already dark. So most of the projects we end up doing is with a headlamp on, which makes the project really hard. Some projects are possible that way, others are not. We end up just postponing things until spring rolls around and we can do things when the sun's out.
Poor bunny. He's like saving me.
All of that to say that we have done a few projects in the dark that you haven't seen. I'm going to show you what we've done. Nothing big, just a few simple things, but I want to show you what we've been doing around here. That's been going on while we can't see. Before I get to showing you any of that, we're cleaning this garage out because there's a guy bringing some turkeys for us to butcher. Turns out the butcher that used to do poultry in this area retired, and so there's nobody. So I've been asked over the last several months, just word of mouth, I've had probably 10 people ask me about butchering animals, or butchering the poultry, because we got this chicken plucker. So we don't do it much, but this guy decided to do it. He's got 6 turkeys, so it shouldn't be too hard to do. Should be pretty quick. Do I want to be a poultry butcherer? No, I don't. But I feel bad because there's nothing else for people to do. So, word to the wise, if you are gonna get into raising meat birds, chickens, or turkeys, have a place to butcher them before you get them. Most of these people, like these turkeys are 30-pound turkeys. They're gonna be huge in somebody's freezer. They're gonna take up so much room. They didn't plan ahead to have them butchered, so they've just been trying to figure out what to do with them. We've had several people in that same boat that we've helped out. So if you're gonna raise meat birds, either be ready to do it yourself or have somebody who can do it before you get started. The guy actually showed up already, so turkeys are here. We are going to postpone the cleaning of the rest of this garage and butcher these turkeys. I'll show you what we've been up to, and then we'll come back and wrap this up.
Post-mortem. Turkey squawking.
Is that you trying to resuscitate a turkey?
With my hand inside of it, I don't think it's gonna work.
It's still breathing.
My turkey is protesting.
Well, there was just a brief moment of us butchering those turkeys. We got the job done. That's not what this video is about, is butchering turkeys. But if you need to know, butchering turkeys in December, not very easy. Much easier when it's warm outside. At least here it's not easy. We have to deal with cold weather and things wanting to freeze. A few of the things that I wanted to show you that we have been doing in the dark of night when nobody's watching. Here is the first one. We acquired this dude and 2 hens to go along with him. He had been living within city limits for about 2 weeks. Nobody knows where he came from. Nobody could find his owners. They just been wandering around the streets, kind of begging from people. He's kind of a bully too. Nobody knew what to do with him, so we finally decided to take him in. He is a silver-laced Wyandotte, just like these other ones that are roughly the same color. So we are going to look into possibly breeding them, make ourselves a little bit more self-reliant so we don't have to rely on buying chicks. We'll see how that goes for us. We don't have an incubator, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. This next thing that we did in the dark of night when no one was watching turned out to be a huge failure. I bought these little bowls made out of silicone. The idea was that they pop in and out. If you can even see it, this one's just destroyed. In and out like that to make them bigger, smaller. I was going to use that to get water for the rabbits, so we didn't have to worry about these freezing anymore. They just freeze so fast with that metal nipple on there. And so I was going to put their water in this, hoping that when it did freeze, we could just turn it over, pop the ice chunk out, fill it back up. Obviously, it did not work. First night, these stinking rabbits chewed all of them, destroyed them. Big failure. I'd heard about, that's not an idea I came up with. Somebody said that that was a great idea. They had done that for years and years. It wasn't like it was one rabbit. It was literally every single cage. That's how they ended up. Chewed all the bottoms off. I don't know what to think about that. We don't have any way to get electricity out here to these rabbits, so we don't have the option of putting heated waterers on here. For now, we just fill these up just part way. My biggest worry is that one of these is going to freeze super solid and just absolutely get destroyed. Hasn't happened yet, so for now we're okay. Also, I finally put this roof on there. This is just a piece of old tin that's been lying around our yard since we moved in. It was just out there. We just collected it and put it away for hoping we could use it down the road. Fit perfectly on top of these rabbits, protects them really well. And now we don't have to worry about these top guys getting wet, and their food stays a lot drier as well, wasting a lot less feed that way. This next one was not necessarily something that we did, but more something that happened. This has actually been about 2 weeks ago, maybe a week, 2 weeks ago. Came out here one evening, and Nutmeg, right there, was bleeding from her head profusely, just pouring down her, dripping off her face. I couldn't figure out what was going on. It took us a couple days to figure it out. But finally, after a couple days, I found this. That is the outside of her horn. So apparently there's a thing called a horn avulsion, where the outside of the horn just rips off. I don't know if she caught it on something or it just broke off, wore, I don't know. I mean, you look at the end, it doesn't look like it's torn, it just looks like it kind of wore off over time. Hollow inside, kind of cool. She bled like crazy for about 30 minutes. It dried up. It was a time when the vet was closed. We didn't know what to do. We were quickly Googling how much blood can a cow lose. Turns out they can lose a lot. This little inside of her horn is just kind of a scabbed up mess now. Will eventually dry up and fall off, or she will regrow some sort of an outside callus. So yeah, that was just kind of a freaky thing. I mean, it worried us for a while, but when it finally stopped bleeding and Google said there's nothing you can do about it, it just sorted itself out. She's been fine. Hasn't had any problems from it, so we're just kind of keeping an eye on it. The risk that she does have is that it can infect her sinuses, and so we've just been watching for any sign of like a nasal drip or sinus pressure or anything like that, but she acts perfectly normal, like there's nothing going on. I'm trying to put just a few wheelbarrow fulls of those chips down every day. It's a losing battle though. These cows are pooping a lot faster than I can haul the wood chips. So sometime this week, I believe, we're gonna get in some really weedy hay that we can put down as more of a bedding. They can pick through it too and eat the good stuff out. There's a lot of good stuff in it, but we'll just kind of put it out, let them spread it around. They'll waste most of it, but it'll soak up a lot of their urine and cover stuff up so they're not having to lay down in their poo all the time. We finally put up all these rails, finished all the rails on this back side and around this hydrant here. I talked about just briefly, the neighbor farmer put his cows out in this hayfield here, which goes way back. You can see his cows off in the distance there. We don't have a fence between us here. I think the courteous thing for him would have been to put up an electric wire, since he's got it around everything. He put it up around all the sides except for us. Not sure why, but he's letting them come onto our property. I haven't put up a fuss about it, though I'm slightly annoyed, but we're leaving it alone because there's nothing out here they can really hurt except for this. And I planned on putting my cows out here anyway, so I had to get it blocked off so they couldn't rub up against it. But you can see somebody's been conveniently rubbing here. So it's a good thing because I know that they were about to start rubbing on that. As soon as they figured out it was there, they'd be rubbing their heads on it, probably breaking it off underground. So they're rubbing on this. That's okay. I'm gonna get this fence up next spring anyway, and then we won't have to deal with it again, and we'll be all right. And a last little note, this is the compost pile we put in. We just moved the manure out from where the cows are out to here. This thing has shrunk at least 1.5 feet since we put it here, which gives me good hope that it is well composted inside. On the outside, obviously there's big chunks, but I'm thinking on the inside it's gonna be beautiful. Once we break into it next spring, we're gonna put that in our garden to plant in. That is exciting.